Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Charles the Charge 3, and you can call me Charles. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. Today I just wanted to get to talk about a brief for more of like a beginner's guide to Pokemon Unite, and what you be trying to aim to do in each role. If you're new to MOBA, this video is going to be great for you. If you're more experienced, you can stick around and maybe you might learn something. If not, thanks anyways. I appreciate all the support, guys. But so let's get right into it. So number one will be defender, and what how the role wants to play, what the defender wants to do is you want to engage, protect the carries, and then learn to bully off CS. So engage, what I mean by that is want to look for engages around objectives, you want to look for engages in lane, you want to look to really lead the charge of the fight most of the time. If you're playing Snorlax, really great beginner friendly champion, and if you like the defender role, this will be a great champion for you to pick up. So yeah, and protect the carries is mainly, so you want to protect like your Cinderace, the Zora, your Cramorant, your and champions like that. Your Greninja, your Lucarios. You want to be able to protect them. You don't want them to engage the fight themselves or get picked off, right? Because there is a lot of assassin champs like Absol or Zora or even Lucario, right, that could really just get into the backline, or even like a champion like Machamp, right, that could run you down with submission. And so your job as a defender is to be able to block that, and so that your carries aren't easily able to get to. Excuse me. Now the next thing that you want to learn to do, and this is just like a general, right, of like what you should be doing as defender, is you want to learn to bully off CS. You want to really learn to how to bully people in lane off of the CS. If you're able to help your carry get a CS lead, because you're CCing the enemy, because you're holding off the enemy, or you're able to take more camps, in the jungle, if you're able to invade, right? Because you're able to really be that defender for them. It really does give them that lead, and a slight XP lead in the early game means all the difference. It really does. Early game really matters. If you miss out on 1 to 2 APOMs in the top lane, it's really gonna hurt you. So keep that in mind, guys, the next time you look to lane, because laning, learning how to lane properly and really well, and laning well and then laning aggressively well, to be able to really push the limits of your champion is something that's going to help you climb in this game really fast. And so next we move on to the attacker role, and so this is like the attacker slash ADC role if you've played League of Legends. Basically your job in this game is that you need to get as much XP as possible. You need to really become that late game monster carry for your team to really be able to do all the damage. You need to, so with gaining a lot of XP and taking a lot of XP, this provides you with higher levels, and then being able to unlock your Unite move, being able to have your evolved like a Blaze Kick or evolved Feint, for your Cinderace, is going to be super super good for your team, and it's going to allow you to be able to do a lot more DPS in the long term for your team. So that's your main job primarily, is that you wanna keep up on your CS. You wanna keep up on you know just being able to be there for your team and to provide that high DPS. Because if you're underleveled Cinderace, right, or Greninja, if the enemy Cinderace or the enemy Greninja is 2 levels higher than you, or or they have their ultimate and you don't, right? That that pretty much, like when you start getting to high elo, that pretty much is gonna be almost a lost fight, guaranteed. That's like the make or break fights most of the time in early game for those early dreadnoughts. If your Cinderace has her ulti compared to the enemies, like that's like the make or break right there. Um, a lot of times in early game. So, just keep that in mind. And then the next things that you want to work on as, the attacker role or ADC role, that you want to work on positioning. And so to be able to provide your team with high DPS is you have to be able to focus on your positioning, not get caught out by champions like Camp or Absol or Greninja, right? Or Lucario. You can't get bursted down. You have to really really watch your position, really focus, really attack from an angle, and really look to play front to back most of the time. Really want to be just in the back line, just be able to really fire off and really hit a lot of DPS from the back, and while being as safe as possible. Because if no one touches you, you will 100% win the fights most of the time. Because just the Cinders in the backline, being safe and DPSing everybody will really just shred everyone. So keep that in mind. The next thing is follow up is just side tips. They pretty much follow up the workout positioning. Is don't never get caught out and don't die. If you can work on these two things in lane and in mid to late game, it's just never getting caught out, realizing where your team is, and you have to play around your defenders and your supports properly. Because if you're playing up front ahead of them, say if you want to go bot side but they're not going bot side, or if you want to go in to try to DPS but they're not going in, well, there's not really much you can do. You have to play around them properly. You could ping, go in, and to attack and to engage the enemy. But if they're not engaging, if they're staying far back, it's really really hard to be able to DPS in the middle of a team fight when your defender or support is playing back. And same thing in lane. If you have a really passive support, if you have like a scaling support compared to a really aggro support, then you want to be able to adjust your play style. You can't play aggro in every lane. And then that's on the same flip of the coin, right? You can't play passive in every lane and just let your the enemy laners just take advantage of you. You gotta realize when you're able to play passive, when you're able to play aggressive, and when you're able to play passive. And you gotta adapt accordingly. And if you work on those two things, just never getting caught out and not dying, those things alone will skyrocket your win rate, because those two things lead to you being on the map more. So one, you get to DPS for your team more. If there's any skirmishes, you're able to be there. You're not on a death timer, you're not coming back from base. There's no time wasted. And also you're able to be there for the camps in lane. If you kill your opponent 1 to 2 times, you're able to take their CS, you're able to score, get XP off that. You're able to take jungle camps. You know, like the it starts to snowball really really fast. If you're staying alive or if you're dying, like if you're dying, it snowballs in the enemy's favor so fast. You know, it's really hard to come back when played when you snowball properly. So that's something to keep in mind. And now the next one I want to move on is Speedster slash Jungle. Um, Now what you want to do, I just want to get through this quickly, you know, and not make this too long. Is what you want to do for the Speedster role is a farm, focus. Now I see a lot of speedsters, a lot of junglers that don't do this. You need to focus on objective secure. So if your attacker, if your defender is already doing his job, your support, your all arounder is doing his job, you be the one to both be able to DPS and both be able to secure the objective. Most of the time, it's going to fall onto you to secure that objective, you know, and you need to make sure like you're really targeting the objective, you know, and just being able to get that last hit, because that will definitely make all the difference when it comes to jungling. Most of the time anyways, people just assume the jungler's gonna secure it anyways, but you know, I notice like a lot of jungles, because they're like an absol player, right? I noticed like a lot of times when they had the lead and we could just turn on to Dreadnought, they instantly chase kills, you know, or they get caught out, and that's because they're playing so aggressive. They have hyper mobility, or if they're playing like a Cinderace, you know, they're constantly pushing their limits. And but you got to realize that sometimes, you know, you just got to fall back, secure the objective, and then go from there. Once you secure the objective, you can play aggressive, you can do whatever you want, but you just need to secure that objective and to give your team the lead. The shield is definitely the Dreadnought shield. The XP bonuses are gonna give your team that lead to where you're gonna want to take fights afterwards anyways. You know, when you have the shield, you want to look for fights around Dreadnought, you know, after Dreadnought, and really bully the enemy team. So, and then with the experience boost, you know, you may be unlocking ultis for the rest of your teammates as well. So it's another good thing to focus on subjective objective security. You know, Rotom, you know, you can focus on that as well, you know, on security objective, but I'm mainly talking more for Dreadnought and Zapdos, right? Because if your team is behind and you guys secure a really good Zapdos fight, like that will turn the game like 100%, and your win rate will skyrocket up. So the next point that I want to move on to for junglers is that you need to gank lanes. You cannot be stuck hard farming to learn how to gank lanes. You know, if you're starting bot side, well then you need to look for a top side gank. You don't want to, you know, full clear from bot side to top and then look to go back bot. You know, like you want to need to get out onto the map. You need to get ganks down, and you can't telegraph your ganks too. I see so many people just being impatient with their ganks and just walking straight up into lane and just running at the opponent. And you know, like maybe 10% of the time that might work if you're in low elo, but most of the time what you want to do is you want to come in, you can come in behind the lane and stick into a lane bush, or you can just use a bounce pad to get behind the enemy and just walk all the way around, or you could just sit in a bush for just a little bit, you know, let them overextend. There's so many people that overextended lane, you know, and take bad trades or waste all of their cooldowns, so it'd be easy for you to go in and kill them. So you need to take advantage of those things, and you just need to be patient as a jungler to realize that, you know. And so the next role that we're going to cover is all-rounder. Like an all-rounder slash booster role. You know, it's pretty simple for this role. What you need to do is you just want to look to get into the backline if possible. Like if there's enemy Cramorant, if there's enemy Eldegoss, and you're playing like something like a camp or like more like a Charizard, you need to look to target the backline. And just like really burst them down, because if you're able to burst down the Eldegoss or a Wigglytuff in the backline, is going to hinder the enemy team a lot. It's gonna give your team a lot of base to work around with when you make the game a 4v5. And sometimes depending on the comp, you may want to appeal for your ADC as well. And you just have to, when this goes for both all-rounders, supports, defenders, whatever the case may be. If you're looking to engage, you have to be able to look at your carries. And so once you engage, you want to look at your carries, because if they're getting engaged on, then you immediately want to fall back and to be able to help them. So that's to make a break. That's the difference in a really good defender or support or an all-rounder, is to really look to both engage and peel at the same time. So just remember that. That's a big one. Next we want to go on is farm. You want to farming is like pretty much an all-around thing that will help you better as a player, pretty much in any role. If your farm is dramatically better than your opponents, if you're gaining XP leads out the wazoo compared to your opponents, it's gonna show. You're gonna win more games, and it's definitely gonna be, the games are definitely gonna be a lot easier for you. So and then let's see, you wanna, for another thing for all-rounders, I would say you want to look to bully off of objectives. Look to stay in the brush, look to be patient, look to get to objectives about 15 to 20 seconds earlier than everyone else, and look to just really capitalize on being in a brush and really taking your enemies by surprise, or looking for a really good flank, and sometimes you may have to look to be the front line as well if you're depending on the comps, right? So just be aware of that, guys. You gotta be able to adapt in certain situations, certain team comps, and certain things that you have to do. And so next we move on to the last but not least, support. So support is pretty easy. Basically what you want to be looking for is to peel the ADC. Sometimes you may want to look to engage, but most of the time it's peel the ADC, keep your team alive with heals and shields, and sometimes you want to look to engage, but in all honesty, most of the time you're gonna look for healing, keeping your carries alive, and just really helping everyone sustain through fights. If you can do that, like with an Eldegoss, it's going to be with Wild. If you're going to, you could peel with Mr. Mime. You could peel with Wigglytuff with her Sing. There's a lot of supports that are able to give a lot of peel. A lot of supports that you can also engage with. You could engage with an Eldegoss if with your ulti. If your whole team just runs in, just want to run in as well. With your ult, you're gonna be well. And same thing with Wigglytuff or Mr. It with a really well placed wall, if a well placed well timed sync lands on 5 members, that's a really nice engage. So that's definitely something to take advantage of. Next is just the last thing is bullying lane off of CS. Just like defenders, supports, you're gonna be able to bully in lane and help your carries get that extra little bit of CS, even if it's just 1 or 2 CS camps that you've stolen from the enemy jungle, or you've stolen from um, the enemy laners. It's going to pay off in dividends, and you'll definitely see it. But yeah, that's my beginner's guide, general beginner's guide to Pokemon Unite, guys. I hope you guys liked it. If you have any more questions for me, please leave them down in the comments below. And yeah, and then comment what you want to see next as well. Thanks everyone, and then consider liking, leave a like for the video and subscribing. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.